Hello, friends. My name is Josh. Welcome back to the Life Reset Collective. Today, I want to talk about something that is going on in my life right now as I move from basically life reset crisis mode into rebuilding my future mode. So, I just went through my second life reset. Both of my life resets were due to divorce. And I just want to speak for a moment about the purpose of this channel. But after that, I'm going to talk about the premise of this video, which is this. I feel very lost right now in some ways. However, this is not a new feeling to me, and as you rebuild, you may feel this way. And if this applies to you, if you feel a little bit lost, then this video is for you. This is what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to tell you how I navigate this, and I really do believe that this framework that I'm going to talk to you about today has been a framework that has worked very well for me as I have rebuilt my life in the past, as I've built things in the past, and why I see so many good signs of it working today. And I just want to share it with you because sometimes we need a little bit of a spark of imagination, a spark of creativity to know what to do next. The Life Reset Collective exists, this channel exists to support people like you and me, rebuilding our lives after loss, trauma, burnout, or major life transition. Maybe you're restarting your life, resetting because you went through a divorce, or because you lost your job, or you lost your home, or you faced a major calamity of some kind. These life reset situations can come in a wide variety of different ways, and it's characterized by kind of like crashing down and then needing to rebuild yourself seemingly from scratch, sometimes from the ground up. It is a hard process. Not very many people understand it. And so I created this channel to provide soul deep encouragement, sacred wisdom, and practical tools that'll help you as you begin to walk again toward a new chapter, a new future with intention, self-compassion, and courage. Okay. I believe that healing is non-linear, that everyone deserves a second chance, and that your story isn't over. This is just the beginning of the next chapter for you, friends. So if that sounds like it resonates with you, then please feel at home here and welcome. So I feel lost. I lost my job right in the middle of my divorce. Like, I lost my career job. I've been in digital marketing since 2009. This has been my career. And over the course of my career, I have faced several setbacks. There are several times when I would be with a company and things would be going strong, and then they would just like end the project I was on and let me go or lay me off, And this happened again in the middle of my divorce, in the middle of my lawyer's payments. I got laid off from my job. I got basically let go, said, they didn't have enough money to make payroll the next month, and they were letting me go first because I was the highest paid person in the agency. So I went to work at a restaurant, right? And that's where I am right now by day. I'm working at the restaurant. Now, this restaurant has some potential to grow into like something. Like, I could probably become a store manager if I keep working at this restaurant. But the problem is that I'm working as a shift manager right now, like a shift lead manager, and it doesn't pay very well. It pays less than half what I was making previously at my other job. Thankfully, my divorce is done now. The lawyer bills are paid up. And I'm now back in my house because, my ex did move out. I was able to move back in. We were separated and I did not want to share space with her. I definitely did not want to share space with her in the aftermath of our separation. So I'm back now, but there's this situation I have now where my income has been cut in half and I'm trying to get back on my future grind, right? There's a part of me that doesn't want to wake up and go to the restaurant every day because that's not really my passion. It is a great job. I have great managers, a great team, and I do like the restaurant, but let's be honest. I want to be a digital marketer. I want to pursue my passions. This channel is an example of something that is passionate for me. And as I'm talking about this, like, I know I'm talking a lot about myself here, but I just want you to think about your situation. I want you to think about, have you faced similar things in your life, kind of a dilemma where things just did not go as planned and you ended up kind of like in a place that was way below where you started, hence life reset, right? And you think to yourself, man, I feel a little lost trying to get back on the horse here, get back on the horse of life. But regardless, the situation I find myself in is this. I have a YouTube channel, this one that is just getting started, that's actually making a lot of great progress, but it's going to be a while before it like makes money, but I love it. So this is a passion I have. So this is actually step number one. Identify what you want. Identify what you want. Friend, the future is a golden opportunity for you. If you've been through terrible life circumstance, you may feel like you're starting all over, and to a point you might be. But I also want you to consider this. you have learned a lot of lessons. You've seen the bad that life could throw at you. I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about people who just don't seem to understand the deeper meaning of life, the different, deeper aspects of life. And I realized that there are two types of people in this world. There are like pre-enlightenment thinkers, and then there are enlightened thinkers. And here's the difference. Every truly enlightened person I've ever talked to, and when I say enlightened, I guess I mean enlightened enough that they seem to truly understand life and other people's perceptions, other people's experiences to such a deep empathetic level that you realize they're actually very wise and they can think way beyond themselves and their situation, and they can say things that are positive to that. Okay. So in other words, if I'm talking to someone very enlightened, then they can generally have a pretty good understanding of my situation, even if they haven't gone through it, and they can speak things into it that are actually helpful, that are actually positive and productive. Whereas people who are not enlightened, what they tend to do is try to give you advice about stuff that they've never experienced. And it's painfully obvious. You can tell they haven't experienced it. And the advice they're giving you is often not helpful. Okay. So, but anyway, I was talking to my friend about this. There are pre-enlightenment and post-enlightenment people. And here's the thing about it is that the most enlightened people I've known have always been people who did at some point suffer a great tragedy, right? There are people who went through extremely difficult times to get to where they are today. Maybe they survived terrible circumstances, or they survived a terrible background or whatever. Now, everyone has their own trauma, and suffering is relative, right? There's a subjective element to suffering where it kind of like everyone's suffering is relative in the sense that maybe there is some stuff that's objectively worse, but we treat it all as relative. So the worst thing that's ever happened to me is truly the worst thing's ever happened to me, regardless of whether it was worse than the thing you experienced. But here's the thing. The worse your experiences are in life, and then the better you overcome them, I truly believe that the more enlightened you become, and this helps you to have a better grasp on reality. You've seen the darkness that life can throw at you. You've survived it. And now you're approaching the next chapter with much less naivety, more wisdom, right? And probably a greater potential to want to do good, because there's also an element of like people who have seen darkness, I think really want to do good, generally speaking, right? This has just been my experience. So you coming out of the mire of your life reset, of the calamity that cast you back down to the bottom again, you have this incredible opportunity to become such a better version of you than has ever existed, smarter, more driven, more motivated, more inspired, more creative, more hungry to build that next amazing chapter for yourself. So honing in on what you want, even if it seems difficult, is actually really important, I think. Now, that doesn't help us sometimes in the here and now. For example, in my case, I have bills to pay now, but I have grand plans that will pay someday, right? But they're not paying me right now. And this is only in the financial realm, okay? So there are other things too. You could think about this in terms of like your relationships. You can think about this in terms of like what kind of work you're doing, right? So like purpose work. You can think about this in terms of your living space. There are so many different avenues to think about this in. I happen to be thinking about this in a work and income sense, but that's not the only way to think about it. Just keep that in mind. You can apply this to any area of life. You can also feel very lost in any area of life: relationships, job, career, family, friendships, right? Dating, living place, physical health. A lot of these things can be confusing. And so I'm to a point a little bit like lost in my work and income. And here's really the dilemma is that I don't want to stay at this job at the restaurant forever. If I am going to stay there, I want to get really motivated and I want to look forward to accomplishing the next objective, which would be becoming a store manager. But I don't know that I even want to do that. I also have another YouTube channel that's growing really well, but the income is like, it is monetized, but it's kind of hard to generate income with that. I'm currently brainstorming it and trying to increase that income. But the truth is that I have a lot to learn. That process is going to be kind of a slow arc. So there's that. And then there's another project that I'm thinking about pitching to someone else, basically my store manager at the restaurant I work at, basically thinking about how can I work with her because she is so awesome and knows so much about restaurants. We were thinking about starting a YouTube channel together as like another hustle, right? So this would be really cool. And I'm going to pitch this to her coming up soon, and we might work on something together, which would be really awesome. But friends, here's the thing. It would take that project 8 months to a year to make its first income. So that's a lot of upfront work, income later. So I'm just telling you that right now I feel a little lost. And here's the twist. Here's the conundrum, is that I want to wake up and do work that I'm passionate about, that's meaningful to me. My YouTube work especially, that's really what I want to focus on, but it doesn't pay enough to pay the bills right now. So I'm having to kind of walk this line where I'm like trying to think, how do I make this money happen faster rather than slower? And at the same time, how do I continue to stay motivated at this day job that, I mean, I'm very grateful I have it, but it pays so much less than I was making before. And, basically, how do I make that work? How long am I going to have to make that work? And it can make me feel a little bit lost. Well, here's another thing that's important to clarify is I could go out and get another digital marketing agency job. But when I got laid off from my previous position this time around in the middle of my divorce, I thought to myself, I've had enough of this. I'm not going back to work for these people anymore. I'm not going to go, like, this has happened to me with multiple agencies. And this is a thing about this industry. It's kind of unstable. So I think to myself, no, I'm going to build my own stuff. Hence why I'm building like 3 YouTube channels in 2026 to get myself to a new level of income, because it's like, if I do this for clients, I can do it for myself. Only difference is, the work comes first and the income comes, because I'm not getting paid like by the hour to build this for my clients. I'm building these businesses from scratch. So there's an element of like understanding what I want and then trying to get there, but grinding it out also while working full time at this other job. Okay. So identifying what you want is really important. And I do have a plan, but I'm going to be honest, I don't have a concrete 100% ironclad focused plan. I am focused on these YouTube channels and the businesses around them, and I keep trying to make them better. But I'm going to be really honest right now. There is a little murkiness in that. And that might be the answer, is to nail down my actual exact plan. But here's the problem with that. I have done that many times and I continue to do that. It's just that once I go for a few months, I realize I think this plan was a little off. I think I need to adjust a little bit. Right. So there's some adjustment, some adaptation, some evolution taking place there. But this also brings me to another point, is that in my life, I've realized that seldom do plans go exactly like we think they will. Seldom do things manifest exactly the way we think they would. Oftentimes, when we embark on a journey, we have to take into account that there's going to be a lot of evolution and adaptation that's going to have to happen along the way. We're going to have to adapt. If you stay too rigid in your thinking, you might try to cram a square peg into a round hole. You might work, all to realize that the idea was just off enough that you're not really making any progress. Whereas if you were to change your model, you might suddenly make a ton of progress with the work you're doing. And that's what we're trying to find. But that's easier said than done. That's easier to theorize than it is to actually deploy, because you don't know what you don't know. And so feeling lost is very much a feeling of, I don't know exactly what to do to get from here to where I want to be in the most efficient, best, fastest manner possible. There's also an element of this where the journey is in itself an important part of the process, and finding opportunity within the journey. So like, for example, I've found opportunity in this journey, or at least the possibility of it, by maybe starting this YouTube channel with my store manager at the restaurant I manage. Okay, that's awesome. But at what point do these like ideas for opportunity actually manifest into things that are helping you? Well, that's the hard part. It takes work and discipline. Now, I have an ebook which you can download for free. Link is in the description. And it basically outlines my 9-step life reset process. I've really honed this because I've been through 2 life resets now. And I developed this process at the beginning of my second life reset because I knew I was going to want to get through this the best way possible. This was more of a strategic process for me than an emotional one. The first time, my life just got wrecked and I had no idea what was going on. The second time around, I was a little bit better equipped for it. And so I was able to create this framework, and you can download that for free. Like I said, links in the description, and that ebook outlines all the 9 steps and then kind of how to use them for your own life reset. So if you're going through a life reset or just coming out of one or just going into one, friend, download that and at least look it over. Even if it gives you just 1 or 2 little ideas, that will be worth it. And I created it to help people who are trying to reset their life, because I really have a heart for that, because I've been there and I understand what it's like. But step 7 in that ebook is reimagine what's possible. And I'm going to read you the little excerpt from it. With your feet on the ground and your past seen clearly, now you get to ask, what does a life of truth look like for me now? You begin dreaming forward, setting aligned goals that are both inspired and realistic. Define what thriving means for you now. Set values-based flexible goals. Draft a simple plan with steps and checkpoints, and then leave room for growth and revision. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. So in my life right now, even though I'm coming to the end of my second life reset, I come back around to the step 7. I need to reimagine what's possible. And so when I'm feeling lost, this is the step that I default to. And this really outlines it. So think about this. With your feet on the ground and your past seen clearly, now you get to ask, what does a life of truth look like for me now? This is exactly true because I've never had better clarity on my past. I know exactly where I don't want to go. I have the learned lessons from the past. I don't want to repeat them moving into the future, but I do want a life of truth. What does that look like for me now? I get to think about that. And that should be a step I take if I feel lost in my current life, in my current path. And trust me, you're going to feel lost. We do not ever have it all together. Feeling lost is par for the course, my friends. Number 2, begin dreaming forward, setting aligned goals that are both inspired and realistic. Dreaming forward. For me, this means imagining succeeding at these projects because I am embarking on the projects I really love and care about. I really am. Maybe they're not where I want them to be right now. Maybe I wish they were further ahead in the game, but it's going to take work and effort to get there. How do I know if it's worth it? Because I want to dream forward. I want to think about my future. And I want to envision, like it says here, goals that are both inspired and realistic. I want to be inspired about the purpose, but then I want to make the nuts and bolts realistic. And that means kind of setting a plan. So for example, one of the reasons I'm making plans in my week to create content for this channel is because I want this channel to grow, because I love the purpose of this channel. I want to spend the rest of my life helping people who need to go through life reset, because when I went through it, I was so down and so sad. And there were very few people out there who really understood what I was going through. I want to be able to offer to other people what I didn't have when I was going through it. And then defining what thriving means for you now. This is like step number 3. For me, thriving right now means I want to wake up doing the things I love, helping the people I love, pursuing the purpose that I love, that I care about, waking up so excited for everything going on that day. Obviously, there are going to be things we're not excited about, but for the most part, right? And let me tell you this, it is a huge thing to wake up to a job you're not passionate about. It's a huge thing to wake up to a relationship you are not really that into or that isn't good for you. It is a big thing to wake up looking forward to living in a space that you do not feel welcome in, that you do not feel at home in, waking up not excited about the health problems you're going to have that day. These are major things that can really come in and make you feel lost and confused in your life. And I'm not telling you that I have all the answers right now, and I'm not telling you you're going to either. And unfortunately, I'm not telling you that there's some magic formula to give you the answers. We have to find the answers for ourselves, and we have to plot a path forward. What I can give you is empathy and tell you that I understand. And I would encourage you to download the ebook and read step 7, reimagine what's possible. That's the 7th step, because I really truly believe that that is the step that we should cycle around to when we feel lost in that moment. Okay. And then of course it goes on to say, draft a simple plan with steps and checkpoints, leave room for growth and revision. This is adaptation, a little planning, a little adaptation. Your plan's going to change. If you embark on a plan to find a good relationship, like you want to date, find a good relationship, you might begin with a plan, but then 30 days into the process, your plan may be totally different. You may realize, wow, almost nothing about my original plan worked. Now I'm doing something totally different. This can feel very confusing and disorienting, but the truth is you're on the right track if you're doing this, because this is learning, adapting. You're refining the process as you go. So don't get too down on yourself about that. And another thing I want to say, and this is just, as I wrap up here, I want to tell you this, friends. You deserve a new chapter. You deserve a second chance. You deserve to have a life you're excited about, a life of purpose, a life of health, of happiness, of safety, of feeling at home in your own life, of waking up excited. And there's a certain part to where, we're going to have to do some tough things to get there. But I also want better for you than to force yourself into it every day. I truly believe that if we apply our effort and our energy, especially coming from the bad circumstances you've come from and the lessons you've learned doing that and the character you've developed through that, I believe that you can probably achieve a great deal of what you really want out of life, and that you can shape your life to be something incredible. This is the next chapter. As we climb that hill, getting out of the pit of despair, we move toward paradise, and that paradise is at the top of the mountain. We have to climb this hard mountain to get up there, but once you do it, once you get there, finally, it's going to feel so much lighter. It's going to be so different. You're going to be starting a whole new chapter. So whatever phase of the process you are in, don't get too down on yourself. Please be encouraged. You can do it, and I believe in you. Drop a comment. Let me know where you are at on your journey right now. I will try to respond to every comment I get, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of my videos. Thank you so much for coming back to the Life Reset Collective. My name is Josh. I'll see you awesome people on the next one.